think another thing someone might ask is, how does this happen? Like, I was a believer of God, and I'm raised to believe that he's protecting me and he's looking out for me. And how did it impact my relationship with the Lord in terms of, is he going to keep me safe? And to that, I would say that God has set up this planet on levels of authority. My parents were in authority over me. And so they were given the authority. They were the ones with the authority over me. So who they allow into my life, they're the ones that I was submitted to and who had authority over me. As an adult, when I move into adulthood, well, then I'm in authority over me. But as a child, so then I become responsible to God directly on who I allow into my life and and what wisdom I'm operating in. Right. So they had a responsibility. It was on them. God gave them, and so he's what they allow, he is allowing because he's given them the authority, and he won't violate that. And that is often why some things have happened. Yeah. That doesn't apply to all situations and to all bad things that have happened in people's lives. But in this particular one, and in many that I've seen, that is a truth that God has given you the authority. Why don't you do something about it? I've given you authority. Right. And so in this case, my parents had authority. I think that they did very well. And my mom was very tenacious about keeping out. She was aware that there were perverts in the world and people who prey on people, and that, and she had a passel full of little girls, and she was very cautious and very careful. Clearly, somebody let a door open. Jesus said in John 10 that the thief doesn't just come to your door and announce himself and say, hey, I'm going to come in, I'm going to steal everything you got. We wouldn't, that's not how this works, and that we wouldn't allow it. But a thief, like the enemy, steals in through open windows or through open doors. And so we know that is often how the enemy is able to slip in through an open door or an open avenue in our lives. And so the only way that could have been, there had to have been the authority in my life had an open door somewhere. There was some allowance that it slipped in, because they were doing everything in the natural. They were doing everything in the natural to protect us. And I think that's what a lot of mothers fear too, is like, what else can you do except put gates and fences around them and never let them out, and you never let them around any other human being at all. And then you watch, you even watch them amongst themselves, like maybe the enemy will start tempting them to mess with each other. Right. And you do get really scared. I heard a mother say that once. She said, I turned my back for 2 minutes, and this other child, she had let her child play with another child, and he'd been abused, and so he started abusing. She said, I turned my back for 2 minutes, and now my child has been a victim, a sexual victim. And she was just traumatized herself. How,
how do I parent? How do I
how
even
could
do
you
that?
even, how can you prevent it? You can't, and it's so extreme. And unless we go to extreme measures. Right. And then your child is unhealthy for other reasons because they don't have any kind of an out, you've kept them so protected. Yeah. And so we do the very best that we can in the natural. And I do believe my parents had done that. They had a lot of really good safeguards in place, and a lot of parents do. But in this particular case, I'm reminded of the scripture in Psalms where it says, unless the Lord builds a house, that you labor in vain. He that builds a city labors in vain. The rest of that scripture says, and he who watches the city, the watchman who watches the city watches in vain unless God is watching the city. And that scripture always strikes me because it also requires it. You can watch and you should watch. You should be a watchman. You should be guarding. But there are some things, as we all know, that still slip in. Still some things that do occur. Yeah. And in this particular case, in my situation, there was an open door. Some allowance was made in either my mother or my father's lives, and so the enemy was able to slip in and do this. And act out a strategy targeting me, specifically me, not just any of their children. Yeah. The Lord revealed to me through some other events that happened that year that it was specifically me. And so you realize, oh, yeah, the enemy really is seeking whom he can devour. That's what the scripture says. So we have to be sober and vigilant. We don't have to fall into a spirit of fear,
Right.
but we do have to be sober. We have to be aware. And we bring ourselves to the Lord for examination on a regular basis. Hey, is there anything in my life that I've left unchecked? Is there anything I've left unaddressed? Any open doors to the enemy? Make me aware of them. And if not now, Lord, then I just leave that open door to you.
Yeah.
Like I'm giving you that opportunity at any time. I'm asking you to speak up and and I'm keeping my ear attuned to you so that I don't have to live in fear. I don't have to, do I have an open door? Is that me?
Right. Because that's easy to fall into.
Yes, you can. Like you start second guessing yourself and
Yeah.
it steals your confidence. But like rather, Lord, I'm entrusting myself and my development and my care to you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep my ear tuned to you. And I'm going to be faithful to address the things that need to be addressed so that I don't leave doors open, so that the enemy doesn't have a way to steal, kill, and destroy me or my children in my children's lives or in the lives of the people I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
And then that's how we do it. And that's how you handle it. But clearly there was something here because they were given authority over me. And that is how, unfortunately, how a lot of things happen in children's lives because the people in authority have got some open doors.